Well, good morning and welcome. Today you'll find us at the town of Pateros. And the reason we're here, this is one of the great steelheading areas from the shore you can find on the whole Upper Columbia. We're just above the bridge over the Methow River where it enters the Columbia. And there's a series of docks here and there's people on every one of them drifting bobbers for steelhead. What's neat about this spot too is the main channel formed by the Methow entering the Columbia is right along the end of these docks, so you don't have to cast very far to be in range of the steelhead. I have just seen two different fish, each jump twice clear out of the water right within sight of these docks. So it's a great place to look for steelhead and very comfortable too. You can set up on the end of the docks, as I see several people here. There's the Pateros Lakeshore Inn is right behind me with beautiful views and rooms of the river. There is a boat launch just around the corner above the bridge where it enters the Columbia. However, that can often freeze early in the season. But in a mild year, we're in early November and the river is wide open. And I'll show you another launch that's right here in town a little later on. But for now, I'm going to get rigged up and get my bobber floating, looking for steelhead right here at the mouth of the Methow on the Upper Columbia River.
Fishin Magician broken under, and even the new magazine has replaced it. Well, you know what we really love is more information on pan fishing, perch, crappie. Where are they? You know, that's the hard one.
Sure nice to have these long rods. Even with long casts, you can mend your line. And also the advantage of this Stren microfuse braid allows you to even at great distances pick up your line off the water because it floats and keep a nice straight line to your bobber. Now I'm standing at the uppermost dock, accessed from the walking path, and in the background is the Lake Pateros Inn, which has a dock, and I noticed a couple of anglers left the bridge area and motored up and tied up there and went into their rooms probably to have lunch. And just above that is a launch with a dock, and it's a good launch. They've made some improvements, in fact. But it can be fairly steep, and I would suggest that you even bring a bag of sand, because when it gets really cold here in the winter, there can be some ice forming on that ramp as boats pull in and out. But it's a good ramp, it's open all through the winter time, and there's a good dock right next to it. And also Lake Pateros Inn, you can charge your bow mount motors. There's outlets that you can run a cord to your boat, so overnight you can have a fresh battery in the morning. Well, I'm standing on the ramp here at Pateros, which you find on the upriver part of town, just past the Pateros Lakeshore Inn. And it's a great one that will not freeze all winter, can get slippery, but you can always launch here when you're fishing in Pateros. Now I'm at the ramp that is just above the bridge here at Pateros. And it's a great ramp with lots of parking and a dock, but it's very shallow and it tends to freeze over fairly early in the winter. When the Matt Howe freezes, this ramp will freeze, but the other is open all winter long.
Hi, this is Dave Graybill, the Fishin Magician, and when you see me on the road, you'll notice I'm driving a Ford. From your town Ford in Wenatchee. Ford trucks and SUVs are built for the demands of pulling a big boat to some of the remote locations I like to fish. There isn't a launch that's too rough for these tough Ford trucks. When you're looking for a new fishing rig, be sure to check out the Ford lineup like the famous F-150. The folks here at Your Town Ford will treat you right, and you'll be happy you chose Ford for your fishing fun.
The Evinrude E-Tech. It's a dream come true.
For E-Tech engine sales and service and repair of all boats and motors, call Lyle's Boats and Motors in Kashmir, 663-5191.
The goal of Battery Systems is to provide the best products combined with the most efficient service at competitive prices. I've found their people live up to this, so don't buy anything without talking to them. You should make their batteries and accessories your choice to power your vehicles and boats. This is Dave Graybill, and I choose Battery Systems to keep me running on shore and on the water. To find a Battery Systems product expert in a location near you, log on to batterysystems.net.
All right, grab.
Oh yeah.
Grab one at a time.
Okay. Oh yes.
Yep, I got one. Let me see here. Tell you what.
That's okay. We'll put them on ice right after we finish here anyway.
Good job.
For the trip home.
Yeah.
I love that bag.
You know, I had one that blew out of my boat and I haven't replaced it.
Yeah. The only place I can find is the Sportsman's Warehouse.
Yeah?
Only place I can find them.
Hooked on Toys in Wenatchee carries those two.
Do they really?
They do.
I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
I'm
nice.
on my way.
Mine was getting to look like yours. Mine was in worse shape. They're really handy though. They don't take up a lot of room in the boat.
Yeah.
And they work.
Well, you know, for
Day in,
years
day out.
past, you know, it's been either purple or purple and black.
Yep.
But this year it's just been pretty much straight black until the bowl of sherbet this morning.
Yeah.
You guys clean this one right here?
Sure.
There's a pit tag in it, so when you clean it, when you fillet it, you're probably going to fillet this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that pit tag is somewhere right in this area right here.
Okay.
Do you know what a pit tag looks like?
Do you want it?
I don't want it. I just don't want you to keep it in the fillet because you don't want to be chewing on it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I'll show you, give you an idea.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I won't take it, but
Well, I wouldn't mind.
see,
Right there in that fin.
it's right. We inject them into somewhere in the ventral fin area, so it's about the size of a grain of rice.
Oh, okay.
It's a glass tube with copper wiring inside, wrapped inside. So,
RFID.
because sometimes people will clean them and they forget they're in there
And they can track them.
and crunch on it. So
Yeah. That is weird.
these two have got coated wire tags in the head, so I'm taking those.
Sure.
You already got your pictures, right?
McKinney. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Now I'm just a few miles south of Pateros on the highway to Chelan. This is another public access with a ramp that's about 2 miles above Wells Dam. When you launch here, you can see Wells Dam in the background. And this again is a good concrete ramp And most of the time it's got a fairly good amount of water to launch even larger boats. There are times when the river can be down and you want to be cautious. It's not terribly deep at this ramp at very low water. And also keep your eye out for some large rocks. But it is used often by many steelhead anglers that want to run down and fish above Wells Dam and even upriver to fish near Pateros. Now I'm at Wells Dam, which is just south of Pateros, and for years and years fishing off the riprap above the dam has been a great spot for shore fishing with bobbers and jigs. I've known about this spot for a long time and have fished here, and we bring our boat down and fish here as well. There's been a lot of changes here at Wells Dam. There's a new barrier here to keep the debris away from the dam. They've dredged it, and also due to the construction, anglers need to park down on the main road, the same road you take to Carpenter Island boat launch to fish this area. But we're going to walk down to the riprap and make a few casts and see if there's a willing steelhead out here today. Just noticed him when he came out of the light. Just saw a big old battered up king swim by. I'm surprised to see him in here still. But we had a pretty big run this year and they're still making their way upstream.
No matter where anglers are heading, whether it's Banks Lake, Lake Roosevelt, or Rufus Woods Reservoir, they all make the same stop. That's at Big Wally's in Coulee City. Here they find everything they need for a successful day on the water: fuel, ice, a tackle shop, and people who know what they're selling behind the counter, state and tribal licenses, even a hot breakfast or lunch. When you're on the go, don't forget to stop at Big Wally's and visit their website at bigwallysfishing.com.
Trout lakes are opening throughout the region, so it's time for fishing family fun. You can count on Hooked on Toys in Wenatchee to have everything you need to outfit your family for the season. The rods and reels for youngsters up to what the pros use is on the shelves at Hooked on Toys with the best prices you'll find anywhere. Don't miss out on the fun of spring trout season. Get to Hooked on Toys, 144 North Wenatchee Avenue, or log on to hookedontoys.com.
Honey, you are not gonna believe this. I bought Pepsi Next.
What's Pepsi Next?
It's the new cola from Pepsi. It's got real cola taste, but 60% less sugar.
Real cola taste, 60% less sugar.
Yeah. I know.
It's unbelievable.
But this is the most impressive thing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Oh, definitely. Let me get the camera. I've never had anything like it. My parents are gonna flip.
Yeah, they're gonna be so proud.
Introducing Pepsi Next. Drink it to believe it.
Are you getting this, honey? It's going viral.
Well, now we've pulled into what is known as the Carpenter Island boat launch below Wells Dam. This is a busy spot just about year-round between steelhead in the fall and winter. There's good walleye fishing here below Wells Dam, and also the summer on salmon season. This is a very busy spot. And we're going to park here at the launch, walk over the hill, and I'll show you the bar that is pretty good fishing for bobbers, drifting corkies, and even casting spinners for steelhead through the fall and winter.
fishing the bar here, oftentimes current changes quite a bit, and a lot of times you've got to move a ways down from the top end of it to get enough current to get a decent drift. That's not only for casting from shore, but in the boats as well. One thing I wanted to mention before we leave the bar below Wells Dam is that water flows can change very rapidly. And so you want to stay close to your gear. I've had the circumstance down here before where I noticed a change in flow while I was waiting, only to look back and see my tackle box floating away. So you have to be aware, pay attention, just stay close to your gear. Well, this is probably a lost cause here today below Wells Dam. It's one of those situations that are fairly rare, but the water is extremely low and there's absolutely no flow. It's the first time that I've had my bobber going upstream because of the wind. There's one other boat here offshore. They're fishing for walleye. They're probably having a tough time too, because when there's no flow, it really impacts the bite. Well, the current has picked up here a bit. I'm getting a little bit of drift now with my bobber. But we have a few more spots that I want to show you about shore fishing on the Upper Columbia. So we're going to head on down the river. I'm standing on the ramp now here at Wells. It's very long, and as you can see, it's a concrete pad. And today, you know, it's come up a bit, but if you were to launch today, your trailer axle would go off the end of the concrete. And there have been times when I've found water levels so low that I've actually had to launch next to the concrete and come in and come out on the rocks over here. So it's a good idea to check the depth before you throw the boat in, because you don't want to get your trailer hung up on the bottom end of this ramp. As I mentioned earlier, water levels can fluctuate quickly here below Wells Dam. One of the things that I would advise anglers is when they come off the water, if they want to clean their catch before they leave, put your boat on the trailer first, because you can either find your boat high and dry or almost floating away by the time you accomplish that shore. Water will change that quickly here below Wells Dam. This is Dave Graybill, the Fishin Magician, and when I fish the Upper Columbia and the Madhow Rivers for steelhead, I stay at the Lake Pateros Inn. I can tie my boat right up out front and be minutes from the action. The famous Miller Hole on the Madhow is less than 2 miles away. The rooms are comfortable and surprisingly affordable, and I'll be making the Lake Pateros Inn my base camp. To learn how to book your room at the Lake Pateros Inn, log on to lakepaterosmotorin.com or call 866-444-1985.
When you're fishing in Banks Lake, Lake Roosevelt, even Rufus Woods, the place to stay is at Cooley Playland in Electric City. They have camping and RV hookups right on the water. There's a launch with fuel and one of the best tackle shops in the area. You can get your state and tribal fishing licenses right there. Cooley Playland has been the friendly place to stay for fishermen for decades, and if you haven't camped there yet, you'll learn why. Call for reservations at 509-633-2657. Be sure to visit their website at cooleyplayland.com.
Boating is something the whole family can enjoy, and it's surprising how affordable a new boat can be from Bob File Boats and Motors. Stop in today and take a look at the largest selection of boats in North Central Washington, including top names, Bayliner and Tahoe. Bob File Boats and Motors can help you find that boat that fits your needs. And whether it's for fishing or just a ride on the water, you can be sure your new boat will provide hours of fun for years to come. Visit the boating experts today. Bob File Boats and Motors on the Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee, the place to buy a boat.
I'm on the trail that leads down to the mouth of the Entiat River. This is another popular spot to fish for steelhead, just below the mouth and just above the mouth of where the Entiat enters the Columbia. There's a pull-off on either, just above the bridge heading north, and also on your right just after you cross over the bridge over the Entiat River. From there, people cross the tracks and you can find the trail that leads down to one of the fishing holes here on the Upper Columbia River at Entiat. This is our last stop today on our sort of tour of public accesses, boat launches, and popular fishing spots for steelhead in the fall and winter on the Upper Columbia River. I'm standing right now at the artificial point that was created by the Chelan County PUD right above Rocky Reach Dam. There's limited parking here across the railroad tracks, and there is good amount of shoreline in here though, and a tremendous number of steelhead are taken by anglers primarily fishing bobbers and jigs. Right over my shoulder in the background, across the river, is Lincoln Park. It is also a destination for steelhead anglers in the fall and winter. Anglers fish from the docks over there, and then a little bit closer to the dam, there's another narrow shore access that is a popular spot to fish for steelhead, right at the outflow of the hatchery there. We've seen a lot of spots today. I hope it gives you some ideas about where you might plan a future steelheaded adventure, and I hope to provide you more good information to make your trips more successful and enjoyable in the future.